listening to Around Comics. 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 You're listening to Around Comics.
How are you guys doing? It's been a while. It's been a bit.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. Everything's,
And you're a dual silver medalist.
Yeah. I guess
Very
you could
proud
call
of
it
you.
that. Yeah. It was a fun experience. I'll probably do another one. There's one coming up in October I might do. It'd be nice to actually face off against someone that's either my own age or my own weight, which I didn't get to do. You know, guys 15 years younger than me.
The older, fatter guys that you had to beat up on?
No, it was younger. And then the one guy was
quicker, faster.
Yeah, there was two guys that were younger than me by like 15 years, and then one guy that was younger than me by
they were like 40.
They were like 32, you asshole. And 300 pounds, so it was a lot to deal with.
There was
a lot. Big target.
Yeah,
a whole lot of guys.
He was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was.
Congratulations. Yes, us in our older. You're much more like higher impact sport than I am. As I prepare for the curling season, I've just been doing a lot of yoga.
Well, honestly, jiu-jitsu's not that high impact when you're not competing. Like when you're just training with good training partners, it's not that high impact. I mean, you generally start on your knees, not standing, so you're not getting thrown. And, you know, most of it, you know, the only impact is accidental. You accidentally get hit in the head or elbowed or kicked or something. But it's not, I mean, it's a lot, it's very physical, but it's not so much impact, which is the good thing for an old guy like me, is that I can keep doing it relatively safely.
Have your fell wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting punched in the face anymore. So, although occasionally I still do that.
It's not like Fight Club.
No.
You know?
Well,
I'm just getting strangled.
Talk about it. You're just getting choked. You're just getting choked out.
Choked out. Yeah,
exactly.
That's like going to bed. That's
fine. You just take a nap. I have not gone to sleep yet. I have not gotten to that
Sal.
point.
Sal,
I'm so tired. I would.
Sun's going down.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna.
Just gonna take a nap.
I'm so tired all the time. I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna just fall asleep. Someone knock me out.
I've gotten definitely not close, but I've gotten like dizzy and tunnel vision starting, but I haven't been put to sleep. Not yet.
I just want someone to whisper into your ear, "Sun's going down, Sal."
Yeah. Big guy. Sun's going down, big guy.
All right, so
right,
shall we start this silliness?
Sure.
All right. Are we an hour-ish tonight? Is that the plan?
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I'm good.
Right.
I do have I do have a couple of emails if we want to read emails.
Yay, we like emails.
So I'll pull those up and.
All right, and we're talking Earth 1 tonight, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Green Lantern. Yeah.
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 You guys like it?
Read it twice,
Really?
so I could remember what happened.
Nice.
been so
You're
long.
getting older. You're getting old like me and
I
Sal.
was like, I should make sure I remember exactly what happened.
Yeah,
I
of course
just-
you got everything.
I got too much shit going on. I can't remember everything. I'm just like
Yeah, it's called being over 40.
it just goes in one ear out the other.
Yeah.
Selective memory.
You want to count me in, Sal? I'm
Sure.
sure this is all good B-roll.
Absolutely. And 3, 2, 1.
And from Chicago, this is Around Comics, the comic culture podcast, where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics and comics culture. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher Niesman, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Salazar.
I think I have a lacerated liver.
I was gonna say I heard some ice cubes clinking there.
Those are on my
That might
knees.
be me.
Oh, that was Tom. I expect
Aaron?
it from Tom because he's from Wisconsin, and as
I'm drinking.
the top 20 the top 20 drunkest cities in America came out this week in some newspaper, and like 17 of them were in Wisconsin. Which I commented, I thought I drank a lot until I moved to Wisconsin.
I'm drinking, but it's only it's light cranberry juice. That's all I'm drinking. Nothing.
Damn.
Really?
Nothing in that. Just like cranberry juice.
It's like disappointing. It's like sad,
I'm a
right?
little
It's kind of
disappointed.
sad.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even have like the full cranberry juice.
No,
They're
sugar-free.
It's like Travolta in Pulp Fiction. There's like, was there any bourbon in this?
Yeah, is it a $5 shake? Is there bourbon in it?
If there's any vodka in there?
God damn. I don't know if it's worth $5, but that's a good goddamn shake.
And of course, Mr. As I already alluded to, the Wisconsin's favorite son, Mr. Tom Capers.
Yeah. Hi. I am drinking. I have cucumber vodka with lemonade.
You'll
summery.
appreciate this. I'm drinking a spotted cow.
Oh, nice. I do
because I actually, and I have a backup of a Third Space Brewing Happy Place.
Well, fuck. Then I guess I better grab something to drink.
Yeah,
Fucking
just pour something into that light cranberry, like immediately.
Because you guys are obviously going to have to pick me up later in this episode.
Oh, where is this? What? Just pour whatever you can find in there.
Have you been to a Third Space Brewery yet, Tom?
Oh, I have not. No.
It is fantastic. It is one of my favorite Milwaukee breweries.
Nice.
Milwaukee.
I've heard of it. I've heard about it. I've drank from it, but I have not.
Drank from the chalice of the.
I have sipped drink from. I just drink right from the tap. Just like I put my mouth right on it.
They actually have how I found it. They have a bags league there in the summertime, which I was kind of pulled into the first year that we moved here. That's how I found out about them. So played some terrible bags and then drank some wonderful beer.
Do they not stop you from drinking out of the tap? It's fine. He's from Wisconsin. He's from here.
That's how it's just like a waste of a glass.
Yeah. And I still think back, speaking of Wisconsin, I think back to our road trip episode, which is probably deep in the archives whenever the three of us went up to a Sox Brewers game at Miller Park. Yeah. And we all determined that Wisconsin was it was just international waters. Yeah. Everything is legal here, which is relatively true.
Yeah. I mean, public drunkenness is only something you can get in trouble for once the sun goes down. That's not a daytime crime.
Well, weed's getting legalized here in Illinois in the first of the year, so woo!
Illinois are now the crazy people. But the saying that I became accustomed with whenever I moved to Wisconsin was, "You can't day drink if you don't start early."
Yeah, you gotta get up. You gotta have your old fashioned at like 9 a.m.
That's some
That's some
folky wisdom. Folky.
The legalization of marijuana means that our block parties are going to be like awesome.
Yeah.
Next summer.
They're going to be short. They're not going to go deep into the night.
Deep into the night. It's going to close at 11.
It's going to be a lot of, I think I'm going to go take a nap.
I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to wait till just let those kids run around.
Yeah.
Well, we had put out on the Facebooks and on our last episode and probably all the other social media stuff that we were going to be talking about a specific graphic novel.
And then we promptly stopped producing episodes.
Well, like that. Right.
It's just how life goes,
Hey, I did an interview, which,
you
by
did,
the way, I'm sure neither one of you listened to it.
It was terrific.
It's on my list.
Every minute of it.
It was a wonderful conversation with Gene Ha, who he's got to be in the top 3 nicest guys in all of the comic books. I mean,
All right, who are the other two? Let's get down to brass tacks.
And then the top three assholes.
Yeah.
Brent Schoonover and Andy Parks. And
okay, who's
maybe
four?
Andy Parks. Listen, I
Andy
love
Parks is a goddamn angel.
Wait. I love Andy Parks, but I would not consider him one of the nicest guys in comics. He definitely has a surly side to him. He can be salty. I love Andy, but I don't know if I would consider him
Cullen Bunn.
You're out, Andy. You're not in the top three anymore.
Cullen over Randy, maybe.
I don't know. I'd have to think about
Art
Belfast. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I can't believe you were going to leave him out of the top three.
You're not one of the nicest guys in comics, obviously.
Well, obviously not. But speaking of some of the downright nicest people in comics that we had a chance to meet were Gabriel Hardman and Karina Sarabecco, and they are the creators of
They're nice
Greenland.
for LA people. I mean,
for LA, I don't know if they're from
there's
there.
Like an LA element.
They just kind of landed there and stayed. I don't know. I don't know if they're actually like California folk. They might be. I'm not for sure, but they're definitely. They live in LA now. We met Gabriel. We met Gabriel in person at, was it the first New York Comic Con?
It was a long time ago. I mean, I don't even remember what he was doing at the time, and he listened to the show, I know, and yeah, we got to meet him, and became friends with him pretty early on, long before he touched any of it. And we didn't even know he was like doing all the storyboard stuff that he does. I don't think.
Well, because I think he had done some stuff back in the '90s under a pen name.
Yeah.
And he told us the whole story, and we've talked to him a couple times. But
Michelle Obama, that was the pen name that he used, I believe. It was.
But he came back into comics after, or actually during his career as a storyboard artist. He worked on multiple Christopher Nolan movies.
All of the Christopher Nolan movies, I think.
He's pretty much Nolan's right-hand guy in a lot of that. And his fantastically talented wife, Karina Becco, they have teamed up to write and do the art on multiple comics, and have, I guess, most recently I don't know what they're working on now, but most recently what I've read from them is Green Lantern Earth 1 from DC, which is in DC's series of reimaginings of classic DC heroes like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman in their Earth 1 series. This was my pick, and we decided to do this, and I had just read it, and I was like, this is awesome. We should all read this. So I will say, what did you guys think of this?
I hated it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
You want me to go? I'll go first.
Yeah, you go
I
first.
enjoyed it. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. I've always been a Hal Jordan fan.
Is Hal your guy?
Hal's the guy. Hal's my guy for sure.
To quote David Price, it's Hal. It's always been Hal.
Always been Hal. Yeah, I've always been a Hal Jordan guy. He's Green Lantern to me. I mean, whatever. There's other Green Lanterns for sure, and if you like other Green Lanterns, I was a Kyle Rayner fan at the time. I know everybody hated Kyle Rayner, but Hal's always been the guy. Mm-hmm. But this was cool to see a little different take on it. Obviously, being Earth 1, it's sort of an alternate, take on these characters, and I've kind of enjoyed a lot of the different Earth 1 stuff. The stuff that I enjoyed in this, the first thing that I really, kind of grabbed me was the cold, sort of dark emptiness of space that they portray in it. It's not a sort of fun or lighthearted space that we find ourselves in. Hal Jordan is a guy working for a mining company, Ferris Mining, or Ferris, whatever the hell they are, but they go out and mine asteroids for precious metals so we can make more smartphones. And he used to work for NASA, which was kind of an interesting twist. in it, and then he comes across a ring, and you know, the rest is what it is. But I really like the atmosphere that they put into the beginning of it, and then I also liked how it changed at when Hal ends up on another planet, on an alien planet for the first time. The tone of it and the look of it changed a lot as well, which I thought was pretty cool. So that was one of the first things that I really liked. And then I liked this Hal was a different kind of Hal Jordan. He was certainly capable, but not the sort of cocky.
He wasn't the
pilot.
gunslinger,
right? Yeah,
you know,
I mean he was a little beaten down by life a little bit. He's got a little backstory.
He was more Steve McQueen than John Wayne.
Sure, that's a good.
In a way,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, a little more vulnerable, I think, a little more problems, and you kind of see it when he does find the ring, when he does get a hold of the ring for the first time. It's this very uncontrollable energy, and they really don't go into necessarily the whole thing about willpower, and that was kind of some of the takeaways from it that I got was that there was a departure from the classic Green Lantern mythos where it was you were worthy of the ring because you had this incredible will to control it.
Well, I don't think it's that they wiped all that away as much as you were kind of along for the ride with Hal on this, that he doesn't understand what this ring is or what it's about. He's just trying to make it out there and legitimately trying to stay alive. And it's not that those elements of the Green Lantern mythos are necessarily wrong or gone, but he has no roadmap. He has no mentor in this, and he's really thrown into it, and he's in the metaphor of space and kind of being thrown in the middle of the ocean. He's really out on his own with really nothing to guide him in this.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, I agree with that to some degree, but I think at one point, I mean, they do definitely make sort of mention, or at least they kind of make a point of saying, this isn't about someone being worthy. Anyone could find this ring and use it. You don't have to be worthy to wield it. You just got to figure it out. And I think that's a modern sensibility. In juxtaposition to a very classic one where, Hal doesn't necessarily he doesn't necessarily have the right stuff. And
he's not the chosen. He's not the chosen one.
Yeah, and that's a very comic book thing in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even up until very recently. Yeah. You still see that where you're this chosen special character.
You're the only one,
right? And this departs from that, and it's anyone can be.
I'm completely
heroic.
Wrong, and you are right. And I just realized.
You think about your sort of traditional Hal Jordan. He is sort of this epitome of very 60s American.
Oh yeah.
Exceptionalism, test pilot, not even for the military.
He's Chuck Yeager.
He's capitalist.
Sure.
Yeah.
He is this epitome of this very well, that's later when they figure out what are we going to do with this guy? Because I like Hal Jordan, but he's definitely the fabric of his character comes from a very dated and sort of not boring, but very old-fashioned American ideal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of test pilot. He's a man with no fear, and that's why he gets the ring, But it's also important to remember a lot of those elements or been added on over the years, like the rules to the ring, and this is what the Guardians do. Like all those rules get added on. But like this version of Hal Jordan is very much not that. He is not the epitome of sort of like this American exceptionalism. In fact, the stuff he worked on sort of led to, the idea of, the hint in the book is that something terrible has happened on Earth,
right?
Where what he was working on actually has led to a totalitarian regime.
And he didn't stand up to it. He knew it was coming, and he didn't change it. He didn't do anything to, to stop it.
So as opposed to like this character who's like, yeah, of course, this guy's a test pilot. He has no fear. Like this guy very much has, like he didn't stand up when he had his chance to stand up for it. In fact, he's been running from that decision for a long time. And like the things he worked on were not these noble things that were like the idea of like sort of
going to space, going to the moon,
It is all very grounded in sort of like the sort of like dirty elements of like totalitarianism and like capitalism and all this stuff. Like he is much more wrapped up in sort of those like more grounded elements of that character, right? So like in that sense, this version is much more I found much more compelling than I think like the original Hal Jordan really is in a lot of ways. Like I see much more of what the world is like now in this Hal Jordan, which is probably true of that Hal Jordan back then, right? Of like, like not every, don't.
Which is kind of
all
the
this
point
stuff.
It's kind of the point of a reimagining, which is
exactly.
Which well, if you look at it,
actually like this one more than any of the other Earth One books I've tried.
If you sort of look at it though from another perspective, it's very Marvel-esque. Because Marvel was about these, I mean, other than Cap, but Cap came along before Marvel. But if you look at Spider-Man, Spider-Man wasn't chosen to be Spider-Man. Peter Parker was a fuck-up high school student who just happened to get bit by a spider, a radioactive spider, and got all these powers, and then he had to figure it out. And that was a lot of the appeal at the time in the 60s of the Marvel characters, because it was the counterculture. It was, it was standing up against that modern American idealism and the whole sort of 50s era sentiment of that kind of stuff. So now you're kind of seeing that again. I think to some degree, it's weird. Like it's very similar. I think we're going through the same sort of things in our country that we went through from the 50s to 60s and 70s.
A rebellion against 50s idealism.
But the idea, I mean, not to get too big of a conversation about it, but the idea of like anyone can be heroic. You don't have to be special or chosen to be a hero. What makes a hero is making choices. You know what I mean? And that's what Hal does in this book, is he ends up making difficult choices to save people, which weren't necessarily the best choices. It didn't have anything to do with him being special.
Have you guys watched The Expanse on Sci-Fi?
I started it and I got like 2 episodes in and I didn't.
So
I've heard it got really good, and everybody tells me that.
So good,
but I have not.
And it really reminds me of this. There's Earth and Mars and the Belters, and the Belters are who works the asteroid belts, and they mine the belt, and so there's a lot of comparisons in classism there. Now, where The Expanse diverges from this, as Sal has now awakened me to, is that the protagonist kind of stumbles into this, but then they kind of work in a Messiah prophecy kind of thing into his background, which I now don't like as much, because I like how Green Lantern Earth One is the randomness of Hal. Not that he doesn't stand up and do what he's supposed to, but he is a failed character a flawed character who has failed in the past.
But also like the thing that makes this book really good isn't just like necessarily a cynicism about Hal Jordan's origin,
No.
but the fact that the Guardians fucked up their plan by giving creatures this power, right? And it turned out that people, right, the differing from the traditional Green Lantern sort of mythology in the traditional Green Lantern mythology. The Manhunters are created first, and then they create the Green Lanterns to mop up. They fucked up with the Manhunters, and the Green Lanterns are like the correct version of it, right? Whereas, and the Guardians are seen as much more. Yeah, of course, there's been all kinds of versions of this, right? But really, like, at their base, they're seen as these sort of, like, godlike, benevolent creatures who, yes, they make mistakes, but mistakes in the sense of, like, of believing too much in this character, or, like, they are so above everything, they miss these important things, like, those are sort of the mistakes those characters make. Whereas in this version, it's much more like, hey, we made the Green Lantern Corps, and we gave all these different creatures from all over the universe who have different cultures and different beliefs, like the power to, right wrongs. And we don't like it because all of a sudden they started doing stuff that we didn't agree with.
They started thinking on their own. What the fuck?
Right. So, like, in a sense, right, like the Guardians unleashed this thing that's very idealistic, right, of like this idea that when given power, these people and these aliens from all these different worlds start carrying out their own idea of what's right and wrong, right? And like you get the sense that, yeah, they were doing the right thing most of the time, right? Like most of the Green Lanterns we see in this, like, they have different approaches, and you even get a little Sinestro cameo.
There's a little Sinestro cameo, yeah.
But like that idea of like the Guardians created this, this Green Lantern Corps, and they gave people too much freedom to do the right thing, and they didn't like it because they couldn't control it anymore. So they made the Manhunters to eliminate the Green Lantern Corps, right? So sort of paired with that cynicism of like coming from this very like, like modern cynical version of Hal Jordan's background to like actually the Green Lantern Corps turned out to be this incredibly idealistic thing that the sort of slightly sinister Guardians did not enjoy.
I always kind of looked at the Guardians as kind of like the papacy. What's the
Pope?
The Pope. Yeah,
a bunch of popes.
And like the Green Lanterns were like all of the like cardinals and archbishops. So it's like you had like Rome, which was Oa, and then the Green Lanterns were there is a very Catholic religious comparison that you can make to that.
Yeah, and like Sal mentioned earlier, sort of like a lot of those traditional ideas of the Green Lantern, like the ring will go find the most worthy person from that sector. It's sort of done away with, right? Like some rings are handed down, some rings are found. Like there's no magic where the ring just goes and finds somebody else, right? Like that's not how these rings work in this universe for whatever reason. Like partially because the battery has been the main battery has been contained, so none of them have enough power to really do all the things they're supposed to be able to do. But like that idea of like this magic ring will now go find the most worthy human, that element's gone, right? So it becomes much more about like the innate sense of people. Like if anyone gets this ring, what can anyone do with it? Like, will people do bad things or will people do good things? Like what happens when just anyone gets the ring, right? Like,
well, and I think Hal mentioned it a couple of times in the book, basically saying I used the tool available to me. It's just a tool. It's just something, it's not anything special or magical. It's just a tool, and what you do with it is what matters. And I think that's kind of the whole synopsis of the book is just, it's not about some magical special thing. It's the choices you make, and that's what makes the difference of whether you're a good person or a bad person, or you're heroic or you're cowardly or whatever it is. It's just all choices, and that doesn't really, you're not born with that inside of you or not. I don't think it's I don't know. There's a lot going on in the book, and they don't. I thought they did a really nice job of not tearing it down, and like you said, not being overly cynical about the classic Hal Jordan and Green Lantern mythos, and playing with it a little bit and just modernizing it, and giving it a different feel than what we've been used to. I do want to mention, like, the one part I thought was, there were two moments in the book that I kind of really loved. The one was the initial part when he finds the ring and he's out in space, and then all of a sudden he loses the ring for a second, and then the ring goes dead. Like, both of those moments, I'm like, oh fuck! Like, I actually, like, because of the atmosphere they built of space, I actually was feeling, sort of like that claustrophobic, sense of like, oh shit, he's running out of oxygen, and how dangerous that was. And you get that in, there's some films that have done that where they really give you that feeling of how dangerous space could be. But a lot of times in space movies or sci-fi movies, that kind of things, you have absolutely zero concern about space and the fact that there's no fucking oxygen, and how absolutely deadly space is. It's freezing cold and no oxygen in it. But
when you think about it, right, like, the whole idea of Green Lantern most of the time is like, you can't spend a bunch of time being like, oh my god, he's in space. Like, right. Or that's all you would do all the time, right? Like, so it's sort of like, it's like, it almost gets taken for granted, right? Like, he just leaps from planet to planet. Like, it's just a thing he passes through space, right? Yeah, so, like, it's a very different feel to it in this type of story where, you feel the outer space, you feel that the energy ring actually is energy. It's not just a thing that you turn into shape.
But that it is finite. It's not an infinite power source. It's a finite power source that has to be watched, and if it runs out, he's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very much more of a tool, right, than it is like a magic ring that like will solve all your problems.
Right.
Like, if you have the ring, you can do whatever.
I mean, I think I only even saw anyone. The only person that made any sort of construct out of the ring was the one female lantern. She was the only one. I can't remember her name, Arissa or something like that. Or she was the only one that actually made anything. With the sort of thing that every Green Lantern is known for is like creating these constructs out of the energy and with their willpower. Nobody else did that, I don't think, in the book. None of them knew how to do it. And that was the other thing that I thought was really interesting, was the introduction of Kilowog. It's like, it was sort of like this cliche moment that you've seen over and over again of like, Kilowog introduces himself to Hal, and you're expecting him to go, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be a Green Lantern now.
Here are the rules.
Yeah.
Let me explain it to you. Yeah.
And it was like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? That was kind of cool.
What?
I thought that was pretty cool.
It was really just, it was cool that they, the things that you like about Kilowog as a character are still very present in that character, right? Mm-hmm. But like, they found a way of making it fresh and different, and like his relationship with Hal being different, much more of like brothers in arms than necessarily like teacher and student.
Yeah.
Or, like just like a different angle on how that character, like how those two characters interact.
For sure, but like you said, you still liked Kilowog as this really big teddy bear kind of caring character. Deep down, he's obviously powerful and strong and all that, but I think it was always sort of like his humanity or his empathy that he always seemed to have was one of the things that they kept with him.
They also did a great job of making the Manhunters sort of scary.
Yeah.
Whereas usually Manhunters are like sentinels, right? Like they're there to be destroyed.
Right.
They're
fodder, the cannon fodder.
They're a thing you can destroy, like 100 of them. Like it doesn't matter, like they're just like, there's nothing inherently frightening about one of them, or like any sort of like sense that like there's any danger to a single one of them. Whereas in this, they felt much more real and much more of a threat, you know, like.
Well, I thought it was a really cool and interesting idea to go, okay, we're gonna start this story 300 years after, Oa has been destroyed, and there are no Green Lanterns, and the Manhunters basically rule these sections of space, and everyone's terrified of them. It's like, okay, well, that's a different, that's a different take on it, and walking into that for Hal Jordan, is certainly a kind of a different feel than what we're used to. But I thought that was a really cool idea, and to be able to play with. And now just the only thing the only complaint I had about this was, and it may have just been editorial, was it felt rushed a little bit. Like the third act, or when you get to the meat of it and everything, it's like it kind of went by really quickly.
Or like the part where Hal's sort of like a slave on Oa.
Yeah,
like feels like that just like sort of comes out of nowhere a little bit, and then it's like you go through it quickly, and then it's.
Do you think that's like a page count thing? It's like, this is how many pages this is going to be. It's I'd be interesting to talk to Gabriel or Karina about it and say, was there a crunch to fill this out in a certain amount of pages?
Just because they cover so much ground, story wise, within the 144 pages or whatever, that at times, not a bad thing. I wanted to see more of it, or I felt like I wish we could spend more time with this. But just like at times the pace picked up so quickly,
and things just happen. Yeah, like changes happen so quickly. Like they're at one moment they're on Kilowog's planet and they're fighting the Manhunters, and then Hal just flies away, and they just end up on another planet with another ring, or not with another ring, but with a that had a Green Lantern on it. And it was just sort of this weird, quick transition. I don't know. It was just there were just moments where I kind of wanted to slow down a little bit. But the funny thing is I didn't even realize it was 144 pages. So maybe it just that's the way the story went. It was just a quick read. Even though I think part of that is also Gabe's. He has an inherently cinematic style to his panel layouts and the pace that he does. So maybe that's, a little bit why it went by quick, even though, there's plenty of pages here. 144 pages is nothing to sneeze at.
You move through it. The story, it moves quick. Yeah. It's not like a ponderous exposition story.
I was never bored at any point where I was just like, I'm just going to put this down and,
They don't spend time explaining the rules of Green Lantern.
No, they don't.
There's no
they don't.
Pages of here's someone explaining to you how Green Lantern works, right? That isn't in there. It's not part of the story.
And it didn't need to be,
there's no laborious sort of scene setting, of this is what is happening now, or this is the rules now, I think sometimes we forget how much of that is in comics, sort of your main universe superhero books, how much time gets spent, explaining what the fuck is going on. so what to do.
Explain this again for the 4,000th
just
time.
To be clear with you. Or just, the going back to the emotional thing too, I find the Green Lantern, the modern mythos is interesting, all the different ways they've sort of approached the different rings, and the different rings have different emotions and all of that. But it was nice to read a book that did not have that element to it. At the end you get a reveal of, there is a Yellow Lantern Corps, right? But you don't necessarily know, other than they're the bad guys, or it's, some of that getting stripped away, I think actually was rather refreshing. Not having that overlaid everything,
even the part where it's how do I charge the ring? Well, you just put it against the battery and wait for it to charge like a fucking machine. Yeah. There's no oath. You don't have to recite anything. And then it is how ridiculous would that be? Oh wait, in order for this to work, in order for you to recharge your magic ring, you have to recite this oath every single time.
You don't know the fucking words?
Yeah.
Look at this dumb shit. He doesn't know how to recharge his magic ring.
But
You have to
that's,
say stupid rhymey.
but that goes to sort of Chris's idea of like the Catholicism, like the ritual of it, like having to, do this
Ring the
ritual.
bell.
Yeah, yeah. Light the candles, ring the bell, and
I think the
kneel,
All
blow
of it.
a cardinal. I don't know. That's part of it, right?
Stay now.
That's part of some Catholic rituals.
Yeah, without all the oath is stupid. It's dumb.
It is. I mean, I get it. Like it was. I still like. I like it, but only because it's, this nostalgic thing. But even when I read it now, there is a part of me that's just like, that's just dumb. That's just. I'm like, why would he? why would you need to do that?
Having to say that every single time.
Right, every fucking time.
Time he does it, like
that would be like you having, in order to open your phone, you have to sing it a song. Like you would have to. Like, who would engineer that into it? Like in order for your phone to work.
If Apple did that, then every fucking person that owns an iPhone would gladly line up to sing a tribute to Apple. But
think about that. Like you have to sing the same or say a poem. Like you have to recite a poem every time you want to open your phone. Like how fucking ridiculous! What kind of maniac engineer designed this?
Yeah.
Like just listen to this. Imagine sitting in a room being like, "In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight." Okay,
fuck?
cool. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power.
Tom, are you okay? What are you doing? What are you doing over there? Are you like starting a seance? What are you? No.
Sure
I'm just charging my battery on my phone.
I just want to unlock my phone so I can make a call.
I'm just trying to charge this ring. I have to say this weird rhyming poem, that works for it.
Yeah,
and you have to.
I do that every night. It's called Alexa. Set an alarm for 5:15 a.m.
Hey Google, recharge my ring.
Oh,
you set off your Alexa. Oopsie. Sorry, Chris. You have to recite in blackest night.
Looks like I'm up at 5:15.
You can't rush through it, or it won't accept it. You have to say it like you mean it, or the battery knows if you're just half-assing.
Yeah, you can't shorthand it at all.
You can't rush.
Gotta give it.
Like,
no. You have to go acting.
Take your time.
So we enjoyed Green Lantern, Earth One. It is a do buy it.
Yeah, or get it on Hoopla like I did.
Or get it on Hoopla.
You can go buy it.
Order
go to
on
the
Amazon.
bookstore and read it. Go to Barnes and Noble.
Well, because we like Gabe and Karina, go buy it. Go buy it.
You should buy it.
They have dogs they have to take care of, and living in LA is not cheap. So
I checked it out from the library, and then I bought it from Amazon.
Wow, look at you!
There you go.
Because I enjoyed it that much. Because I'm old and will forget about it, and I'll reread it in a year and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so awesome!"
Oh, I've read this before.
I will say, if there's one thing I would sort of nitpick on negatively,
let's do it.
Because we can't leave on a good fucking note.
I gotta tear it apart. No, and maybe it was just me. I'd like your opinion on it. Is I felt like at some points the dialogue was a little hokey, which is weird because we've been sitting here talking about how sort of they've modernized the feel of this classic character, but then there were times where like I just felt like sometimes some of the things Hal would say or some of the things the other characters would say, it just like it just felt off. Like it didn't feel like the way someone would talk. Sometimes it just felt a little odd, almost a little sci-fi-ish, which was just surprising. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. It wasn't a lot, but just there were moments where it was just like, that was kind of an odd way of saying that, or I don't know.
I don't know. Is it because it's? I mean, it still is a sci-fi story, and so it's,
Here comes Hal Jordan.
Boulevard's Vic.
Oh, great.
That
now
kind
he's gonna. Yeah, great. Now he's gonna say his fucking oath.
This guy, he's constantly reciting these terrible poetry. What is with this guy?
Was there ever a Green Lantern story where he like had to hide and he couldn't say it out loud?
Oh, there must be. Yes, I guarantee that.
In a completely yellow room.
Yeah. It's not. This goes right with our Steve Lombard pitch. Right? Do the story.
Oh shit! There's speaking of that, someone did send in a Steve Lombard pitch.
Yes. We have emails. We have emails.
We do have emails. If we're done, are we done talking about? Green Lantern?
Got anything else?
By Green Lantern Earth One.
Yes, it was very, very good. I enjoyed it.
It's incredibly worth it. It's a really good read.
Let's see. Here we go. All right. So we did get a email. This is from Derek Jelly. And he said, Lobo, and Lombard, the team up that no one asked for. This is his pitch.
This is true.
The Weaponers of Quard want a new champion to try their latest weaponry and lead them on a campaign to take over the universe. They decide to take someone from Earth and misinterpret a Steve Lombard prank as being an example of his superiority. They kidnap him and make him, Steve Lombard, Laser Lord. They give him some sticks that shoot lasers. The Weaponers soon abandon their plan. If there's one thing more annoying than a Steve Lombard prank, it's a Steve Lombard prank with lasers. In fact, the only one who finds it funny is Lobo, who is visiting the Weaponers because they happen to double as his space motorcycle mechanics. Lobo and Lombard decide to operate as a bounty hunter team, and we follow their exploits across the galaxy, including run-ins with the Omega Men, Legion, the Green Lantern Corps, the space whale that ate Lightning Lad's arm, and of course, Detective Chimp. So there's our pitch for Lobo and Lombard.
Sort of it's like a Dumb and Dumber type vibe, right?
With Lobo and Steve Lombard.
Lobo and Steve Lombard.
It's not bad.
Lombard.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I want to. Yes, I need that in my life.
I've bought worse comics than that.
I've bought way worse comics than that. Make it so. That's awesome.
So yeah, we have send in more if you have pitches for either Lombard of Lobo or really ridiculous Hal Jordan pitches where he can't say his oath or some other trope that's just ridiculous.
Or he gets a battery from a different, he doesn't speak the language of that battery. It's like this one only speaks English. Doesn't understand any.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Muy bien.
What are you doing? I don't understand this.
It's an English. Speak American.
Speak American.
Speak American.
I'll throw this idea out for a Lombard pitch.
Oh,
Bottle City of Lombard.
I love it.
Brainiac. Just hanging out with Steve Lombard, trying to just absorb all of Steve Lombard's knowledge. There we go. That's my Lombard pitch of the week.
I want an entire Bottle City filled with Lombardians.
Steve Lombard.
It's all Lombards.
Yeah.
Clones. Tiny.
Just rugby fields as long as the eye can see.
Yeah, this is good. I've bought worse comics. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, we have another email.
We have another email?
Yeah, this is from...
You have another Steve Lombard pitch?
No, this is... this is kind of a long... I don't know. This is from Jason Kim from Hawaii.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Dear Sal, aloha from Hawaii. Two questions.
Just to you, huh?
Well, no, he mentions you. Hold on.
I'll see you guys later. I'm just going to take off for a little bit. I'll come back.
I need a little private time. I need a little alone time with Jason.
A little hot time.
Aloha time. Two questions. What are you, Chris, and Tom's thoughts on some conventions offering fans to have dinner with one of their guest creators? Recently, Comic-Con Honolulu. No. Quick answer. No.
For everyone's sake.
Recently, Comic-Con Honolulu organizers were selling 10 tickets to fans to have dinner with John Romita Jr. and his wife for $250. It included dinner, and it would have included a quick head sketch of a character of your choice and the opportunity to get up to 10 items autographed, if CGC $15 per item. This was canceled because only 4 people bought the tickets. According to some fans, the low turnout may be due to last-minute notice. They announced this event, I think, a week before the con. I went to the George Perez farewell dinner at Amazing Comic-Con Aloha back in February, and it was worth it. I know George Perez has done a couple farewell dinners at a couple conventions already, but that's where he ends that. So, okay, so that's the first question. So,
okay,
Tom, we got your answer. No.
Yeah, no.
Just
no.
My answer is, if it is worth it to you, then do it.
Yeah.
That's if paying $200 to sit next to or at a table with 20 other fans or whatever with or have a guaranteed personal interaction with a creator that you really admire or enjoy. If it's worth to you, then yeah, that's fine. Do it. That's great.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, one, I've had a lot of dinners and personal interaction with a lot of different comic creators, and it's they're not that fucking charming, to be honest. Most of them aren't that interesting of human beings.
Andy Parks.
No, Andy's worth every penny.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hit or miss. Like, you have to be careful too, because sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. Now, generally speaking, I think anyone that would put themselves in this situation, a George Perez or a John Romita Jr., I think you're going to have a great time. We met John Romita Jr. He couldn't have been a nicer guy. He
sat on the floor with us, and what I forget, was that C2E2 or Wizard or one of those, and amazing, fantastically generous and great with his time. Just a great guy. I've met George Perez. Fantastic, wonderful guy.
He loves interacting with fans. So
he does.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is most comic book creators are incredibly generous, looking to give you their time. It's just a numbers game of how much time they have to give to people.
Right.
So if there is a guaranteed meet and greet, and this is a person that you absolutely need to shake their hand, meet them in person, and this is your only opportunity, then do it. Otherwise, there's probably a lot of other opportunities to meet creators in person at comic book conventions.
But that being said, if they offered have dinner with Alan Moore for $500, I'd fucking do it.
I'm
there. You know what I mean? But it depends on who it is. There's not that many. There's not really. I mean, we're in a different situation. We've had personal interactions with so many creators that, over the years, so it's not that big a deal. But I'm sure, if it's worth it to you, fucking do it. Why not? You may listen here. I'll tell you a personal story. I was at a convention. I was there with my daughter. She wanted to meet Stan Lee. And Stan Lee was charging, at that point, I think it was $200 or something, or $150 to go meet him and get an autograph. And I'm like, you don't need, Stan Lee's autograph. And then he stopped going to conventions, and then he died. And my daughter never got to meet Stan Lee, and she never, you know what I mean? And now I look back and go, I probably should have just paid it, and it was a memory she would have had, because she really, really liked Stan Lee. So yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe you won't ever have that opportunity again. If it's somebody that you really want to meet, fuck it. It's only
I will never forget. It was like the day before we talked to John Byrne, and you were just like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I was very nervous.
It's like, this is one of my heroes, and if this goes bad,
it would suck.
It
would have sucked if it was bad. I was very scared that it was going to go terribly, because all the rumors about him, all the what people were saying about the shit and the way that he sort of presents himself online. Yeah, I was really scared that he was going to be a dick and he was going to ruin my childhood in some way because, yeah, he was absolutely a personal hero.
He was going to actually, like, rip up your comics.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
I don't want you reading my comics anymore.
But
just tear them to pieces.
But he was
awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he didn't, and it was like, we asked him to talk for like an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it was. We ended up talking to him for over 2 hours, and we probably
couldn't get him to shut up.
We couldn't get him to shut up. Have you guys? Did you happen to read his intro to the Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition?
No,
that you did. He mentioned.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, he mentioned the interview that we did with him.
Yeah.
What did he say about it? He said these 3 fucking clowns.
these 3 fucking clowns asked me this. No. He didn't mention us by name, but he did mention a question that we had asked him on quote unquote a comic book podcast.
Yeah. And what was the question we asked him?
It was something along the lines of, when did you realize that the X-Men was such a big hit? And he said when we left, and Paul, God damn it, who's the artist?
Rosenberg? No, Paul. I know you're saying. I know you're thinking the guy who took over.
Yeah,
I am his name.
Took over for Byrne.
Yeah,
that guy. He said basically whenever the artist that took over for him was so popular, that's whenever he learned how popular the X-Men were.
It was a very insightful question from us.
Yeah, I think I asked that. No.
Yeah, it's one of your questions.
No, I have no
Sounds
idea.
like it. It sounds like you were prepared.
Probably not.
Here's my why
real
I would
answer.
Say no quickly. No. Well, first of all, do you get can you make them sign the stuff for you while they're eating? Like at any moment? Can you?
Is he putting a bite of steak in his mouth? Oh, can you sign this?
I want to spread out all 15 items over the entire meal. I don't know. I guess like when there's a money transaction and something like that, I always get a little worried about like
you're basically dealing with a whore at that point, so it's prostitution.
No, just like just like the interaction, of like I'm gonna pay $250 for you to interact with me. I don't know. There's something about that feels
it's
like a little weird. Like that, it's not that weird, right? People do it all the time for all kinds of things, but it's like a little bit of like, and I guess to me, like part of it too is like I feel like if there's somebody you want to meet at a comic book convention, like you can,
right? Just go up and meet them.
Go up and meet them.
Now,
right?
It might not be dinner, but it's a real interaction.
Dinner,
as opposed
the dinner
to...
part's really the thing that makes me like eating with people that you don't know.
Probably
paid them to talk, like to have this interaction with you, and you're trying to like eat your soup, and like I don't know. This is something awkward.
The coolest comic book convention, quote unquote convention I went to was Morrison Con, and it was
that fucking thing.
It was really cool. It was.
Well, it was my idea.
Is that what it was? Yeah, Richards is going to love you saying that.
Well, it's the truth. I can't help it.
But that's basically what it was. Is that you're going to pay a premium price to go to a convention that has a limited number of attendees, and you're guaranteed to spend social interaction time with your favorite creators, and that's what that show was. And
maybe if it wasn't dinner. It wasn't dinner.
It was, I mean, it was a lot of stuff. But, I mean, we ran a convention for a couple of years. It's to do something that is catered to that. It's either going to be incredibly expensive or the people that run it aren't going to make a whole lot of money. And so it's.
All right, here's my idea.
I should say the hard no.
I
should say the hard no was me personally. Of course, if people want to do it.
Tom's hard no.
Here's my
Paul
pitch.
Smith. I don't know why I had a brain fart on Paul Smith.
All right,
It's Paul Smith. Yeah,
Paul Smith. This is my pitch to you guys. This is what we need to get into.
Oh, all right.
Just
close your eyes.
comic. Just imagine 3 words. I'm just going to give you
on a banner.
Comic book cruise.
God, Jesus Christ!
Trapped on a boat with your favorite comic book creators.
No, the comic book creators
the South Seas
with their fans.
Yes, the comic book creators are trapped on a boat.
Guaranteed norovirus.
With all you can eat and drink and shuffleboard and karaoke with your fans.
But it's missing the best part of a convention is leaving at the end. I need to get the fuck out of this place.
One of my favorite memories of like Around Comics version 1 is us coming back from New York Comic Con, and so we fly into O'Hare. Sal's parked there, and he leaves, and so Tom and I are getting ready to get on the blue line, and I looked at Tom and I was like, "Yeah, you want to take the same train?" And he looks at me, he's like, "No."
Just put on my headphones, man. I'm just.
I've been with you for 6 fucking days, and I'm no.
No, I don't.
Yeah, this train, I'm leaving you for at least a week.
Yeah. Now, if you would have paid $250 to have dinner with me.
All right. Well, to continue with his second question is: if you guys had the chance, someone who is alive, would you guys have dinner with?
Oh.
And
I'm assuming he means in the comic book industry, not just in general.
Abraham Lincoln.
Someone alive. We're not going.
Alive. I mean, Alan Moore is the easy choice, but that's also intimidating. That's how I understand your John Byrne comment. Is I would love to meet Alan Moore in person, but also it could ruin my childhood.
Just don't talk about comics.
Yeah, I don't. I think at this point I wouldn't care so much because I already know how he feels about comics. So I don't know. Honestly, with Alan Moore, it probably would be a fucking bore at this point.
Really?
Well, I just think because he's not going to want to talk about. Well, he's not going to want to talk about comics unless it's negative. Probably.
It could go really. I disagree. I feel like if you didn't talk about comics and you just talked about weird shit, it could actually be super magic. Interesting.
Chaos magic and LCD or LSD. LSD. Yeah. Maybe.
You could have an extremely interesting conversation. But,
I think my pick at this point would be Neil Gaiman. I'd want to have dinner with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
He seemed like he would probably just hold court and I just listen to the words of wisdom to come out of his mouth. And then I just ask him all sorts of questions about American,
Can you
gods?
Tell me?
American gods.
Wow, who would I have dinner with? Jesus Christ.
Come on, Tom. Got to pick somebody.
Alan Moore would probably be the answer. I mean, I guess that would be the person I would be like, oh yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
Just ask him about fucking magic, I guess. I don't
know.
Jason,
that's.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean that's probably the obvious answer is Alan Moore, but God, for me,
Greg Rucka. It always comes back to Greg Rucka.
No, I've done that. I've been there. Probably Warren Ellis. He's a guy that I
think I would find him insufferable. I think I would just be like,
maybe but I think he might surprise you in how charming he is, because I've heard he's a very charming person. Probably Warren Ellis. He is for my taste, as much as and this is weird for me to admit, as much as I love Alan Moore and I love all Alan Moore comics, Warren Ellis, there is a part of me that just gravitates to what he writes, and I just love his techie, crazy fucking bullshit. And yeah, I think I'd love to have dinner with Warren Ellis.
My second pick would be Mark Miller, because I think
Miller?
there'd probably be a lot of cocaine involved. So I'm assuming.
Oh, I was drunk balcony with him, and I think you were there with me.
I
was
was
like, yeah, and he was just like, "You are drunk, and I'm going inside."
Yeah, you ran him away.
I did run him away.
Great. Classic Chris.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Chris. My chance to have a nice conversation with Mark Miller.
Ruin.
Blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. Jason goes on to say
$250 just to have dinner with me.
Jason goes on to say, I love the show. I really like the once a month schedule. Please continue to have fun making these episodes. Aloha, Jason. Jason used to listen to my other podcast, and he would always send me stuff. Rorschach. I think he listened to everything I fucking did. I don't know.
All of them?
Yeah,
he's a salad.
Yeah, he's a salad.
Yeah.
But he would always send me stuff from Hawaii. Awesome guy. So thank you, Jason, for being an awesome dude.
Cool.
I think I have another email here. If you give me a second here. Okay, this is from Christopher VU. Glad to see you guys back on the air. Found you again on Google Podcasts, and you've done a great job of picking up right where you left off. I was wondering whatever happened to the Rorschach Test podcast with Sal. Wow, this is all Sal.
Chris wasn't there to keep him doing it on a regular basis.
The Rorschach Test podcast that Sal was doing because it scratched my AC itch pretty well. I'm the listener who wrote in a couple of times and is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. Oh, yeah, I remember him. But it suddenly disappeared. Just listened to episode 300 and slowly catching up again. Don't go away again. I remember Christopher. Actually, when he contacted me when I was doing the Rorschach test, he told me he was a brown belt, but he brought it up in a slightly threatening way, where he reminded me of, like, early on in AC, I had made a statement of, like, I would fight any comic book podcaster. You know, it was just something that came out of my mouth, and
you were talking about Wood.
No, was I? Oh, that's not even a fight. Come on. But then he went on to tell me he was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. But
yeah, watch out.
Yeah, so come to town, we'll roll.
Yeah, but does he have a
podcast microphone? Yeah, he can be Chuck Norris.
Well, that's what I told him. I said podcast. I didn't say I could beat up anyone that listens to the podcast. I mean, I just said.
And that offer still stands.
Any comic book podcaster, I will fight to the death. No, I don't.
To the death.
But the offer still stands to come to my.
You hear that, Jim Rugg?
Of Jim Rugg.
You want to come to the Chicagoland area and get your ass kicked?
Ed Pisker's been a little fucking, froggy lately.
He is so goddamn good. There's an artist edition. There's an artist edition of Ed Pisker's coming out for the. I think it's a bunch of the. Well, no, I think it's a lot of the hip hop family tree. Oh. I don't know if there's any of the X-Men stuff. He is so fucking good. It makes me sick how good he is.
Well, and I absolutely shame when Sal beats his ass.
Well, yeah, it's gonna suck. I mean, I'll apologize after I kick the shit out of him.
No. Whap.
Yeah.
No, but he's. I love his attitude too. Like, he has that hip hop sort of attitude of just like, no, fuck it, I'm doing it this way, and if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. And I appreciate that. We need more guys like that in comics. I don't think there's enough. You know,
his X-Men, what's the series called? It's
Extinct. No. Why do you do this to me? I don't remember.
It's it's his History of the X-Men. Did you see who's
Grand
doing
Design?
Grand Design. Yes. Did you see who's doing the Fantastic Four Grand Design?
I did not.
Sholey.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It's going to be amazing.
Sure. I'll get. I have to be honest. I haven't actually read all those. So
the Grand Design.
Yeah.
Did you read all of the Hip Hop Family Tree?
I have not. read it all.
They're
I gotta.
So
that is something that is on my docket, though. Like that is absolutely something
They're awesome.
They're really, really good. And go do Spotify, the Hip Hop Family Tree. There's several Hip Hop Family Tree playlists out there.
Is anyone watching the Wu-Tang Clan story on Hulu?
It was so funny because Josh Flanagan had posted something about they had some screenshots from a record store, and they had like record store day stuff plastered on the record store shelves, and it's like, come on, guys, if you're gonna do like '90s record store pictures, like not have record store day stuff on there. Which I thought was funny.
What's record store day?
It's something that came out post '90s.
Oh.
So, but I have not. Is it good? Is it good?
I don't know. I'm not.
I've really enjoyed it so far. It's like 4 episodes into it, and I mean, I don't know how factual it is as opposed to how dramatized it is, but it's pretty fun. I mean, I think the guys they got to play them all are very good, and it's it's like a big sort of getting the band together thing, like so far, like 4 episodes of you're waiting for them to kind of come together from various parts of Long Island, but it's or Staten Island, I should say, but yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's really
Staten
good.
Island, the is that the forgotten borough?
I have no idea. I'm not a New Yorker.
It is.
It is. Yeah,
I've forgotten it. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I really like the cast. I like the young guys that they got playing all the different characters. I think are spot on because they're not like imitating them. Other than the dude who plays Old Dirty Bastard is pretty funny. But
I will watch that if you watch the rest of The Expanse.
Oh God, I don't know if I can do that.
This transactional relationship, Chris, is
right?
just not. Yeah,
I think that's fucking fair. And
I will do that if you pay me $250 to have dinner with you. Yeah.
You come to Wisconsin, and I will buy you all of the cheese curds that you
I've been to
eat.
Wisconsin twice since you've moved there, and neither time have you made an effort to see me. So I don't want to hear
there
about
now.
it. Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, I'll sign up to 15 collectible items at dinner.
Of your choice.
Nothing.
Anyone's collections.
Anything. It doesn't matter.
All right, I think
rated CGC 9 or higher.
All right. So is that our emails?
Wait, I thought I had one more. Let me just look real quick. Yes, I have one more.
Sal, what happened to your podcast? It's going to be another one asking Sal a question.
Well, I guess I never answered that.
What happened to the Big Geek Show?
I just stopped doing it. I don't know. It's not like I mean, Everything
ends, guys.
Yeah. I got bored. I got fucking bored doing it. That's what
boring.
Where's Braxton?
Yeah, well, he gave up real quick. No, the Rorschach test was fun. It was me and Chris Marshall and Andy Tom were doing it, but it started to delve into like the
dark side of humanity.
No, just like the part of comics that I have no interest in talking about.
Let's talk about sales numbers.
No, yeah, a little bit of that, but more of like the the political stuff and the outrage culture and all that. And it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna end up pissing people off. I'm just gonna end up offending everyone if we keep talking about this stuff. So I just kind of didn't want to continue doing it, but those guys were great and it was fun. But thank you for listening. Yeah,
love you, Chris and Andy.
No, they were great guys. It was fun. That's the only reason I did is because it was fun talking to those guys. But it was weird because it was another Chris and Andy Tom, so it was like another Chris and Tom and Sal. It was kind of odd, wasn't that weird? Yeah. Wasn't he?
That's strange.
Yeah. Can't get away from us.
I do not. I guess I do not have another email. I thought I had another email, but it looks like I don't.
So if you would like to email the show, because we love emails, where can they contact us?
info@aroundcomics.com, or you can go to the website aroundcomics.com, and there's a contact us form you can fill out there, and
you can send us physical mail at
PO Box 6114, Phillip Park, Illinois 60181.
I keep getting served a Facebook ad for like a thing you sign up for where you like solve a serial killer.
Oh yeah. You want to do that? Should we do that?
Which makes me wonder. Like, I'm always like, why are you serving me this ad? Why would I want to do? It just seems stressful. So now I have to like solve like this fake murder. I got so much going on in my life. I don't need.
They need your help, Tom. I mean, there's a murder.
I don't need the pressure of
loose.
solving this.
Murder. Great. Now I got this on my plate. I got this fucking fake murder I have to solve.
I don't have the energy for this. I have kids. I can't solve murders.
I'm sorry. I can't read to you tonight. I received another letter from the murderer. A real murderer?
We are very bored. We have a lot of free time in this country. There's people out there that have. That's every time I look at like some intricate video post on the internet. It's like, how do you have fucking time for that? Like, don't you have things to do? Don't you?
I received another letter from the murderer. A real murderer? No. The fake murderer I pay money to send me clues to solve a mystery.
It does sound fun though. I don't know. I kind of
maybe you should sign up for it. I'll send it to you.
I just want to, but if I want to actually physically hunt him down.
Oh, you want to?
I don't want to just like.
I don't need profile. You want a scalp.
I just want to, I want to unleash justice upon the serial killer physically.
I don't know. You can sign up for that.
I can't sign up for that one. It's the greatest game, Tom. It's the greatest.
Yeah.
Game.
I don't know.
It's all I want to do.
Does that include a dinner with
tracking another human being and trapping them?
Is that so wrong?
Is that such a huge deal?
Does that make me a bad guy?
Is $250 not enough to do this?
I want to hunt George Perez down at a Comic-Con.
I finally got close to him at dinner.
And I've heard he's into this, so I'd handcuff him. But I heard he likes that kind of thing.
Scalp George Perez.
Show up to dinner and just handcuff yourself to him.
Hi, George. You're coming with me.
Now we're in this together.
Welcome to my game, George.
He'd be okay.
Finally, I received your letters.
This is something that I've been waiting for. So we talked about Green Lantern Earth 1. Who gets next pick? Because I want to know.
It was Tom.
Oh, I think I do, but I got to think about it.
Oh, shit. All right.
The time for thinking is done.
The time for thinking is over, Tom.
I was... Oh, shit. I just have to pick something.
6 weeks to do this.
I know. I just... Here, let me...
I could pick something.
Yeah, you have something off the top of your head.
I do. Well, there's something I want to read. Is Die, Volume 1 from Kieran Gillen.
Oh, I already own that. That's awesome.
All right.
Have you guys read that?
Done.
I have not
read it. I own it.
But you haven't read it.
I've read the first issue of it.
Oh, okay. But so the first volume is out, the first 5 issues. So I've heard good things, and I thought it's Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans is the artist.
It is so you as an old school 90s gamer.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, technically I was gaming in the 80s, my friend, but
yeah. How's your
game.
You started a campaign, right?
I currently have 2 campaigns going on. Yeah, 2 separate ones I'm running.
And you're right. It's a lot of fucking reading.
It's a lot of reading. I don't want to read. You know, like that scene in The Matrix where he just uploads how to fly a helicopter? I need that for the 5th edition of rules. Just upload everything. But there's a lot of tools out there to kind of help.
And there's the one player that you just want to kill.
No, my group's pretty good.
There is
the thing that helped me a lot, honestly, and I started to have more fun as the DM, and I think the players had more fun. Is I went away from using a grid and miniatures for combat, and I just started doing it
more. Yeah,
like
theater of the mind,
and it just loosened everything up. And even like the last session we had was a pretty like the format for it was pretty simple, but it ended up being like this really fun thing that this like, and they created it. The players ended up doing it, but like it worked because it ended up with this counting down clock. They were running out of time, and they had to get back. They ended up having to like rescue one of their members and get back to this place before they all died. And it just worked out perfectly. And it wasn't part of the game at all. It just kind of worked because I was just letting things happen. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't concerned with the rules or the roll of the dice so much. I was just letting the story go where it needed to go. And it ended up being really fun. And like my kids were like, at the end of it, my daughter was like, "Oh my God, my heart's pounding." Like she was so like, you know.
Sounds like you mastered the dungeon.
I have. I am truly a master.
And that's funny because I think that the game mechanics on the board can kind of trump the enjoyment of the game, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, and I absolutely love the board game aspect of it. Of get advantage on a character, and you have this many paces to do this and that, and that's the game mechanics I enjoy, but sometimes I do think they get in the way of enjoying the actual game.
Yeah, I've started to I want to just tell a good story. That's kind of how I'm coming at it now. And like, I want like the combat to be cinematic and them to just have fun. I'm not out to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care if it all goes by plan. I don't really care if it follows the rules 100%. I just want everybody to have a good time and have a fun adventure. Because that's what, and it just seems like that is, making it more fun for everybody, even me. Like, it's easier on me to do it, and we all enjoy it more. Because otherwise, it's like I'm trying to, I'm stopping the game constantly because I can't remember what the rule is for this one, situation, and then how do I do this, and I got to add all this shit together. And it's like, no, fuck it. You swing an axe, okay, you hit, and it's just much easier. And not having to deal with all the rules of it. Who gives a shit? It's a game. Let it be fun.
You're a good DM.
I try.
Yeah.
I'm getting. I think I'm getting better at just like ad-libbing, and I try and do a lot of voices for the different NPCs and stuff. So it took me a little while to get into the rhythm of it, but I feel like I'm getting a little better at it.
If you have a chance, a board game to play, have you ever played Pandemic?
Have not played that one.
If you're looking for like a multiple session, like a 12 game session, check out Pandemic Legacy.
God, no.
Pandemic Legacy is the most incredible board game I've ever played.
We do play a lot of board games, but that sounds,
Pandemic Legacy is the most incredible board game I've ever played.
Well, you're not one for hyperbole, so I'll take your word.
It is the most incredible board game I've ever played.
I don't want to play something for 12 sessions. I want to play something for 45 minutes and then
just play regular else. Pandemic.
Well, Jesus.
Yeah, don't play the Legacy.
Don't play the Legacy.
Don't play Legacy.
We played something really fun. It's like you're in a haunted house and you are investigating different rooms, and then shit just pops up randomly. And
Clue.
No, it's not Clue. Asshole.
In many ways, the House of Clue is very haunted. Many people have died there.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, DMing. We haven't played in a little while. My kids keep kind of asking me, but between our schedules, it just hasn't worked out. But I want to get back to it because we're having fun.
That's awesome. All right, are we good? Are we done for tonight?
I think. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
we did a lot.
I have so many comics to talk about. We're gonna have to come back soon.
Well, I'm available. I think pretty much any Sunday. So
are we good? I'm good next Sunday. Tom, you're the one with children.
I'm out of town next Sunday on a work trip.
So 2 weeks,
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's come back in 2 weeks.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So do we have a book to read?
Die, Volume 1.
Die, Volume 1.
And I'll have one picked. I'll nail it down. I have so many options. And
Hammer that out.
So we're going to talk about Die, Volume 1 by Kieran Gillen, and I forget the artist on it.
But we don't have to talk about that in 2 weeks. It's Stephanie Hans, I think, is the artist.
I think we should talk about it in 2 weeks.
Oh, you want to do that in 2 weeks?
I need that type of structure.
Okay.
2 weeks? Yeah, let's talk about it in 2 weeks.
Jesus, now it took me like 6 weeks to read this book. You really think I'm going to be able to read?
It's a trade.
I know. All right, fine. Well, let's talk about it in 2 weeks then. Then you're not going to have other stuff. I thought you had a bunch of other stuff to talk about.
I have other stuff to talk about.
Well, you'll always have other stuff to talk about.
We'll always have, as my dad said, son, the job is never done.
Can I change my
Takes me 6 weeks.
I just saw something on Hulu that I want to read. It's called
on Hulu or
Hoopla. Sorry.
Okay.
Simon Says Volume 1 Nazi Hunter.
That sounds awesome.
I don't know what it is, but it looks really funny for a Nazi. No, we'll go with Die Volume 1 because I've been meaning to read that.
Die. In 2 weeks, we'll talk about Die Volume 1.
All right.
That's
fine.
Good. Enjoy.
All right. 2 weeks it is.
So Sal, once again, the email, because I love the emails. It gives us something to chit-chat about. If someone wants to get in touch with the show, they can email us at
info@aroundcomics.com. Or go to the website. Or slide it in our DMs, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Send us your DM tips if you are a dungeon master, because Sal and I are always open to hearing how to run a better campaign. Because mine ends at curling season, because it's all the curlers. We meet at the curling club until we start putting ice in, and then I've got to complete this campaign. We're doing Dragon Heist right now.
That's what I'm doing.
Are you doing Dragon? How do you like it?
I mean, I'm just barely into it, but
there's a lot of directions you can go.
Yeah, I like it though because it's pretty simple structured. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's easy enough to just go, okay, we're gonna go and just boom, 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 boom. And so we've kind of broken up, at least in the beginning, like those individual quests as like it's basically one good session. And then but so far I've heard people complain about it a lot.
It's got a lot of flexibility to where you can break off and you can go in different directions and then come back to the main storyline. It's just explore Waterdeep is what I would say. It's just have fun. That's a campaign that you can do in 10 sessions or 50 sessions.
Right.
So
I want to do Salt Marsh. That looks pretty fun. The new one.
Absolutely.
That came out.
Yep. Good stuff. Tom's like, nerds.
What the fuck are you talking
about? Yeah, I just want to play. I'm tired of DMing. I want to play.
I wouldn't mind that either, yeah.
I just want to play.
Heavy is the head that carries the crown, right?
The DM crown.
Absolutely. Oh. All right. So you know how to get in touch with us. Check us out on the Facebooks and all of the other social media places, and email us and that we ignore. We'll be back in 2-3 weeks. In the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere in
and around comics. Yay! We did it finally.
It happened.